Band 6, it's Miss Dyer here again with your Learning Journey video for Monday the 1st of March. A very happy 1st of March to you all. I hope you've all made the most of the sunny weekend and that you're ready to begin a brand new week of learning full of positivity and enthusiasm. So you'll remember that this is a 2-week learning journey which we started on the 22nd of February. And today's video is video 4 for the 1st of March. Now, if you haven't done the previous videos, I do suggest that you go back and do those first, because this video won't make much sense to you without having done the prior work. Okay, as always, we're going to start with a recap. Then there'll be an optional punctuation activity, which I'll talk you through in a moment. And then you'll have some learning and writing to do in your book and a reflection task at the end. Okay, let's start with our recap then. So our learning journey question is, how can I spread hope in my community? And we unpicked the key words. We thought about spread and hope and community last week. We have a really clear understanding now of how we can spread hope thanks to our research that we've done into the Queen's Speech and into the community acts such as Tom Moore. And we've been thinking about who in our community that we are going to be able to spread a little hope to at this difficult time. And you'll remember that our outcome is going to be a letter, including a piece of artwork which will be sent to somebody in your community to help lift their spirits at this challenging time. Now, you're going to bring your letter to school on Monday the 8th of, we're into February now, aren't we? We're into March now, there we are, look. You're going to bring your letter to school on March the 8th. So that's next Monday when you come back to school. And then Mrs. PA and I, we're going to help you post your letter to the right person. Okay, now this week, you're going to be preparing your letter and writing it up neatly. So today we're going to focus on paragraph 1. Tuesday will be paragraph 2 and 3. Wednesday we'll be writing up neatly. And Thursday we'll be answering the question and doing a short reflection. Okay, just a quick reminder then of our gateway for this half term. Our gateway is expression, and that is particularly thinking about how we present ourselves and express ourselves to other people. So we'll be thinking about how we're expressing ourselves to an unknown audience, confidently and articulately. We'll be thinking about how to make a positive first impression. And we're thinking about how to express our values with honesty. Okay, so today's learning journey begins with an optional punctuation activity. Lots of children noticed that our model letter, the example letter that I shared with you last week, included semicolons, colons and dashes. And some of you messaged me to say, oh no, Miss Dara, I'm not sure how to use a semicolon or a colon or a dash. Or some of you said, I remember you teaching us that, but I've forgotten, and I'd like to use it in my letter. Now, if that is you, here is an optional activity, okay, and I've posted this in your Class Dojo portfolio, which will teach you and remind you how to use these things in your letter today. So this is what the website looks like. Okay, so there is a short video to watch with a teacher teaching you how to use the 3 pieces of punctuation. And then if you scroll down, there is a quiz and some activities for you to have a go at. Now, they are an optional extra, okay? You don't have to do them, and you can choose when you do them. You might choose to do them now, before you start writing. You might choose to do them this afternoon, or you might choose to do them as part of your editing later on today. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do today then, Year 6 and Year 5, is turn to a clean double page in your Learning Journey book. And on the left-hand side, you're going to need to write our title, paragraph 1 of my letter, and today's date. And then underline your title and date with your red pen, please, and a ruler or a coloured pen and a ruler that you have at home. Okay, pause the video now then, please. Well, welcome back, Year 5 and 6. So before we go any further, I'd like you to turn back in your learning journal, please, and just remind yourself about who you're writing to and why, and whether you're going to go straight into writing paragraph 1, or is there something you'll need to think about first? Okay, if you pause the video now then, have a little look in your Learning Journey book. Who are you writing to and why? And are you going to go straight into paragraph 1, or is there something to think about first? Welcome back, Year 5 and 6. So hopefully then, you've been thinking about who you're going to be writing to and why, and whether you're going to go straight into paragraph 1 or if there's something to do first. Now, paragraph 1 then. What is the purpose of paragraph 1? Why are we writing paragraph 1? What is it we want to achieve? So, in paragraph 1, we need to tell the reader who you are, why you're writing, and you'll need to start your topic. So start your letter perhaps with a memory or a joke or a story. Okay, but some of you may have remembered that before we do paragraph 1, we need to be thinking about some other things. And I've got our model text here to remind us. So before we begin writing paragraph 1, we're going to need to think about the address and the date and how to start our letter. And we're going to do that together now, Year 5 and 6, before we go any further. So underneath then, your date and title, you can see I've got it here for us. So we've got our date and title. You're going to need to write your address. Now, some of you will be writing to people that you know, so somebody in your family or a close friend. And you will have checked with your grown-up in our last video about whether your grown-up is happy for them to have your home address. Some grown-ups would have said, yes, that's fine, put your home address. But many of you, and I would suggest most of you, will be using the school address. That's because you're writing to somebody you don't know or somebody that you'd rather have the school address than your home address. Okay, so you'll need to start by writing the school address. I'm just going to go back up to our model now. On the right-hand side of your page, and you'll notice that at the end of each line, there is a comma. Okay, so you'll need to remember to put your commas in. And then after the postcode, you'll notice there's a full stop. Okay, take your time to include capital letters for the proper nouns. For the road name, that's a proper noun, and Totnes is a proper noun. And capital letters for the postcode, please. Double check your spelling and that your handwriting is joined. And if you're writing your own address at home, all of those things still apply. You'll still need to use commas and full stops. You'll still need to use capital letters. Okay, pause the video now then, please, Year 5 and 6, and write the address on the top right-hand side of your page. Okay, so the next thing that we will need to think about is the date. And what you'll need to make sure you do is leave a space underneath the postcode, and then the date goes in line with, so you'll notice it starts in the same place as the address. So it starts in line with the address, and it is the full date this time, Monday the oh, I've put the 3rd, I'm not sure why, but it is the 1st, isn't it? I'm not thinking today, year 5 and 6. Monday the 1st of March 2021. And again, you'll notice that I've got capital letters for those proper nouns and that the handwriting is joined. Okay, off you go, year 5 and 6. Welcome back everybody. So hopefully you're now ready to think about who you are addressing your letter to. Now you'll notice I've left some space between where I'm going to start my letter. Okay, so this space here is blank. I've left a nice big space. I'm going to start my letter on the left hand side this time. Now, I'm writing to somebody that I know, so I'm going to say, Dear Peggy. If you're writing to somebody you don't know, how will you start your letter? That's right, if it's somebody you don't know, we're using Dear Sir or Dear Madam. And remember that you will need capital letters for Sir and Madam, and capital letters for dear. If you're writing to somebody you do know and you know their surname, you'll be saying Dear Mr. or Dear Mrs., Ms. or Miss, followed by a comma. Don't forget those capital letters for dear and their title. If, like me, you're writing to somebody that you know, you might want to address your letter to Dear and then their first name, or to Grampy or to Auntie Marie. Off you go then, year 5 and 6. If you pause the video now and start by addressing your letter in the correct way. Okay, welcome back everybody. So hopefully then, I'm going to rub out these things. You've got the start of your letter in your book and it looks a little bit like mine. Okay, let's take these things out. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. Now, we're going to go back to our model text and start to think about, this is what we're writing, but how are we going to write it now? And as I read through, I'm going to be thinking, right, what are the writing techniques that have been used? How has this author achieved these 3 things? So, Dear Melissa, and you can join in year 5 and 6. What do you notice about this first paragraph? So, how is it successful? Is it the punctuation or the vocabulary? Is it the sentence starters? Is it the way the sentences have been put together or organised or constructed? Okay. Dear Melissa, my name is Alice Brown. Oh, there's a semicolon there. Okay, so my name is Alice Brown. They've started by saying who they are first of all. You may recall, so that means you may remember. You may remember or recall meeting me at the Totnes Hub last year. Okay, so they've said who they are and how they know this person. I'm a pupil at Totnes St John's Primary School and have, oh, there's a conjunction there. I'm a pupil at Totnes St John's Primary School and have very fond memories, that just means very lovely memories, very good memories, of visiting the hub as well as meeting yourself and other members of the community. We've got a subordinate clause there as well, adding extra detail. Okay, so in those first 2 sentences, they've introduced themselves, they've said how they know this person, where they're from, and they've shared a memory to sort of start their topic of conversation. Since the pandemic began, so we've got a subordinate clause there opening our sentence. Since the pandemic began, I've often thought of you, especially the jokes you told me, ! At the time, they really made me smile and feel less nervous about writing. Thank you. I'm writing in the hope that I can make you smile in return at what is a challenging time for everybody or everyone. Okay, so they've said who they are while they're writing, and they've started the topic with a memory, perhaps a joke or a story. Okay, so what did you notice then that make this first paragraph successful? Here are some of the things that I noticed. Now, these aren't everything that makes it successful, and I'm sure you've spotted things that are different to me. So, I noticed that it's written in the first person. Now, what does first person mean, year 5 and 6? Excellent. We're using my and I, so it's in the first person. Okay, I also noticed that the vocabulary was quite formal. Okay, so it didn't use any slang words, and this author tried to use the best vocabulary possible to make a really good first impression. So we had words such as recall instead of remember. We had fond memories instead of the word good or lovely. We had the word pandemic. So rather than COVID-19, they've tried to use the correct vocabulary. It's a pandemic. What else did we have in here? We had challenging instead of difficult. We had members of the community. That's a really grown-up, formal way of writing. Okay, so even though it was formal, it still had quite a personal tone. So I could tell that this author knew this person, and they've included things that were personal to them. So, for example, the jokes, the fact that they made them smile, and why they're writing, in the hope that I can make you smile in return. Okay, so it sounded quite friendly. I also noticed that the author used a semicolon here to join two independent clauses. And if you've watched the optional punctuation lesson on BBC Bite Size, you'll have a better understanding of how to use semicolons. Okay, I also noticed that there were coordinating conjunctions such as and. Okay, we had and a few times. Okay, I also noticed that there were subordinate clauses and a dash. Okay, since the pandemic began and at the time. We also had as well as meeting yourself. Okay, so I've got a little list here now of things that I could magpie from this first letter. Okay, from this model letter in my own. So now year 5 and 6, it's your turn. Underneath where you've written your introduction, it's your turn to start writing your first paragraph. I'm going to leave this screen up so you can pause here, because this screen reminds you of what you need to include, some of the writing techniques you could challenge yourself to use, and of course you can magpie, that means borrow or copy from this model letter. Okay, have a go then year 5 and 6. I have got an example for you to have a look at in a moment if you really get stuck. But do challenge yourselves to have a go independently first of all. Welcome back year 5 and 6. So I hope you're feeling really proud of yourself for challenging yourself today to write your first paragraph without my help. Well done everybody. Let's have a look then at my example. Now I wrote this quite quickly, so it's not perfect. But I'm going to share it with you now in the hope that it will give you some ideas. So, dear Peggy, my name is Abigail Brennan, and I'm pretending to be somebody else here, year 5 and 6, to help you. You may remember meeting me at the Memory Cafe. I go to Totnes St John's Primary School, and we visited last year. I really enjoyed our visits, and you always made me smile. I like playing Connect 4 with you, and hearing your stories about growing up on a farm. I'm writing to let you know that I've been thinking of you during the last year and hoping that you're okay. I think it won't be long until things start to feel a little more normal, but in the meantime, I hope this letter makes you smile as you made me smile at the Memory Cafe. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be thinking about year 5 and 6 is the purpose of writing this first paragraph. And I'm going to check that the first paragraph that I've written tells my reader who I am. So have I introduced myself? My name is Abigail Brennan. You may remember meeting me at the Memory Cafe. I go to St John's Primary School. Yes, I have. So I'd like you now to have a look at your first paragraph. Have you said who you are, where you're from, and how you know this person? And of course, if you're writing to somebody in your family, this may be a little bit different, and that's okay. Okay, so pause the video now then, have a look at your letter, do any editing that you need to, please. Okay, so next step then is why we're writing. I really enjoyed our visit. Here we go. I'm writing to let you know that I've been thinking of you during the last year and hoping that you're okay. Yes, I said while I'm writing. I've also added an extra bit in here that I said I hope this letter makes you smile. So my impact, what I want to achieve is also really clear. So that's almost like a double tick there. I've said while I'm writing and what I hope to achieve. So pause the video now then year 5 and 6 and check your letter please. Okay, well done for checking your letter. Hopefully you've done any editing that you need to. Now we're going to think about how we're going to start our topic. And I suggested that you use a memory or a joke or a story that you know of this person. So I've said that I really enjoy our visits. You always make me smile. I liked playing Connect 4. I hope this letter makes you smile as you made me smile at the Memory Cafe. Yes, I've tried to start my topic. Okay, so double check then that you've started your topic. You might have used a memory, a joke or a story. Off you go, year 5 and 6. Okay, welcome back then year 5 and 6. So the next part of our editing or our sort of thinking is using cups to edit our draft. Okay, this was your first draft at your paragraph. Well, we're going to use cups now to improve our first draft and to edit it so that it can be the very best it can be. And you'll remember our gateway is all about making a first impression and expressing ourselves confidently and clearly. And cups will check that we've done that. So C stands for capital letters. So we've got my name is Abigail. My name needs capital letters. Full stop, capital letter. You may remember meeting me at the Memory Cafes. It's capital letter. I go to Totnes, needs capital letter. St John's, these need capital letters. They're proper nouns. Here we go. And we visited last year. I really enjoyed our visits and you always made me smile. Full stop, capital letter. Yep, I like playing. I am going to give Connect 4 a capital letter because that's a brand name and therefore it's a proper noun. I like playing Connect 4 with you and hearing your stories about growing up on a farm. I'm writing full stop, capital letter, yes. I'm writing that you know I've been thinking of you during the last year. I'm hoping that you are okay. I think it won't be long until things start to feel a little more normal. Just scanning through. Yes, capital letters, okay. Right, I'm going to check it makes sense now. Okay, and I've read this enough times, year 5 and 6, that I know it makes sense. And I don't want to keep you waiting. Okay, this video is getting very long already. But please make sure you check very carefully that yours makes sense to your reader and it can be understood. Next thing to think about then is punctuation. And again, I'm just scanning through. Now, I've noticed here that I've got 2 independent clauses. My name is Abigail Brennan. That sentence makes sense on its own. You may remember meeting me at the Memory Cafe. I could use here a semicolon to join these two independent clauses together. So I'm going to do that, and then that means that becomes a lowercase y. My name is Abigail Brennan. You may remember meeting me at the Memory Cafe. Just checking the rest of my punctuation. Full stop. Yes, yes, full stop. Apostrophe. Apostrophe's correct. It won't be long. There needs an apostrophe there because that is a contraction. It stands for will not be long, won't be long, until things start to feel a little more normal. But in the meantime, oh, capital letters here. I missed those. Good job, I was checking. Okay, I'm happy with my punctuation. Now I'm going to go through and check my spelling. Remember meeting me at Memory Cafe. Really needs two L's, and that should be our, not our. That's our visits. You always made me smile. I like playing Connect 4 with you and hearing yours. This should be stories about growing up a farm. I'm writing to let you know I've been thinking of you during the last year and hoping you're okay. I think the rest of my spelling is okay. And vocabulary. So I need to be thinking which pieces of vocabulary can I be changing and improving to make it sound more formal, more grown up. My name is Abigail Brennan. You may remember. I could change that to recall if I wanted to. I don't have to. That is an option. Meet me at the Memory Cafe. Now instead of saying go to, I could say I could say that I attend. That's a little bit more grown up. I attend, or I'm a pupil at, and we visited last year. I really enjoyed our visits. Now I could say I thoroughly, instead of really, I could say I thoroughly enjoyed our visits and you always made me smile. Now instead of liked, I could say I enjoyed. It's a little bit more grown up. I enjoyed playing Connect 4 with you and hearing your stories about growing up on a farm. I'm writing to let you know that I've been thinking of you during the last year and hoping that you are okay. Now, okay is not formal at all. It's a bit slang. So I could say hoping that you are well. I could say hoping that you're safe and well. Okay, so there's a few options there. I'm sure you'll have your own ideas at home, year 5 and 6. I don't think it'll be long until things start to feel a little more normal, but in the meantime I hope this letter makes you smile as you made me smile at the Memory Cafe. Now I'm sure there's more things that I could edit and improve there, but I'm reasonably happy with the vocabulary. However, something I'm not happy with is the fact that lots of my sentences start with I or I'm. So I need to think of a way that I can edit those sentences. And I'm sure year 5 and 6, you've probably got sentences that start with I. And I can see here, look, almost every sentence I've written starts with I. So that is something that I'm going to need to edit. Now, I wonder if I could edit this second sentence so that it starts with last year. I'm going to write it underneath, actually, in purple, because I haven't got enough room to do it up here. And I want to be able to read what I've written. So last year, we visited you at the, last year we visited, I could say myself and other pupils from, I'm not going to make you watch me write Totnes St John's, but you'll write Totnes St John's in your book. Last year, myself and other pupils from TSJ visited you. Okay, so let's see if that's going to work. My name is Abigail Brennan. You may recall meeting me at the Memory Cafe. Last year, myself and other pupils from TSJ visited you. Okay, so that's one less sentence that begins with I. Actually, my next sentence I could edit as well. During these visits, or during our visits, you always made me smile. And I could go on year 5 and 6 to edit probably most of these sentences. So they start with they don't always start with I's. They could start with a fronted adverbial or a subordinate clause. Okay, so it is your turn now then, year 5 and 6, to use cups and all the other writing techniques that you know to edit your your paragraph. Now this is probably going to take you a good 10-15 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer, because some of you will edit to include semicolons and a dash or possibly a colon. So do take your time to do your very best, please. Then when you've done your editing, come back to this video. Welcome back year 5 and 6. So hopefully you have a fantastically edited paragraph that you are feeling very proud of. Mrs. PA and I, we can't wait to read your first paragraph. Now, your last activity for today then is going to go onto the right hand side of your book. Okay, so on the right hand side you're going to write the title Thinking column and today's date. And there are 2 questions that I'm going to ask you to think about. The first one is, how has the success criteria helped me to achieve my outcome? So the success criteria that we wrote together today, that was what you needed to include in your paragraph. How did that help you? And here's a sentence starter that you could use. The success criteria helped me to organise my paragraph clearly. The success criteria reminded me to write in the first person. Okay, I'm sure you can think of an example of how the success criteria helped you today. And question number 2. How did I challenge myself today? Now, some of you might want to challenge yourself by thinking about a piece of punctuation that you used, or perhaps a piece of vocabulary, or a grammar technique such as coordinating conjunctions. I challenged myself to use a semicolon to link 2 independent clauses in my writing today. I challenged myself to use a subordinate clause at the start of my sentence so that I didn't repeat I at the start of every sentence. Some of you might want to write 2 answers to this question because you'll be able to think about our gateway. I challenged myself to make a good first impression by joining up my handwriting, checking my spellings carefully. Okay, so year 5 and 6, this is your final little task for today. On the right hand side, you'll need to write today's date and then answer the 2 reflection questions in your book. When you have done that, please share your learning with Mrs. PA and I on Class Dojo. We can help you edit and improve your work, and we can award those all-important dojo points so that you're working towards your tennis ball. Have a fabulous day, everybody, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon.